You know, Thorn Hunter, if you want to come right this way. Because if I can just iron shot you, I feel like we'll do okay in life. Slightly sketchier than I was originally intending, but we did indeed get out of that feeling okay in life, so that's fantastic. And let's just get right back on the road again. Beautiful. Drake dodges one of our spells once again here, letting the slightly sketchier enemy behind take the brunt of our force, so that is fantastic. If I could get more fortunate dodging like that, I would definitely be a happy camper. And again, these will-o-wisps are actually freaking me out every time I see them. So far, nothing really to be too worried about. Specifically, we've been able to one-shot them with Iron Shot, which is fantastic. But otherwise, I am still deeply unsettled and terrified as to the potential dangers that those Sons of Guns wreak here. And you know what, let's try to at least kill off you before I run back upstairs for my very life. And wait out the mark trap so we can at least go a little bit more in our own pace here, a little bit more in our own style. Would be lovely. And not too shabby. Once again, still largely relying on Sandblast, which always blows my mind. Still doing just absolutely fantastic work. Okay, I was hoping that Eleonoma wouldn't heal up in the interim of the fight there. Unfortunately, that did end up being the case. Ben Strider as well, not the end of the world when we have infinite poison resistance. Mighted Spriggan definitely could have gone a heck of a lot worse, but fortunately does not end up doing so in the final moments here. Holy moly, this is just, it's just Swamp 3? Excuse me? Definitely feels like a Swamp 4 so far to me with the kind of arrangement of enemies we've come across. Maybe largely in fault or due to the alarm trap, of course. And need to kill you so quickly. 3d14. Oof, and I don't have the clear shot. Otherwise I would be tempted to just go straight for this son of a gun. Guess we could try to take out the wisps, but if that doesn't work out for us, then oh boy, are we in a terrible spot. So if we resistance, that brings them down to 3d7. So our single resistance potion does kind of get us out of this really nasty spot. I mean, potentially still need to rely on a blink or something like that for the final bit of safety and security. But one can dream that that's not the case, I guess. The risk of wanting this in the future, I think I will just drink the resistance. I don't feel great about it. Don't feel great about that whole situation if we're being completely honest with one another, so once again, I feel like that fits into the vein of it is what it is, and we'll just make do as best we can here. And still Conjure Ball Lightning being offered from Vehumet, so not in a huge rush to break into that. No level 9 spells quite yet. Let's walk back to our stairwell, and you know what, can probably just fight our way through these Sons of Guns. Maybe slightly risky, but nothing we can't handle, so that's perfect. And you as well, my friend. We'll just blast into the next realm here. Fantastic. That went south quicker than you expected it would. And you know, that's what I was saying earlier. Those will-o-wisps, if you don't have fire resistance, are a nightmare. It's wild how solid of a character will be immediately degraded into their basest of forms here with just a short-lived encounter against those Sons of Guns. Terrifying. In most of our recent runs, I feel like our fire resistance has been lackluster on the majority of our characters as of late. So unfortunately, that's been very much a oh, let's stop chopping off heads here, shall we? In fact, our +5 Evening Star. How fast can I attack with this now? 1.1. It's a little slower than I'd like, but now might be the time to switch into that. The mini Hydras makes you feel like Learning is around the corner. You know, I would kind of like it to be. It's been a long time since I saw my favorite 27-headed friend. Don't think we do super great against them at the time being here. More specifically, we just don't have a magic mirror, which is my go-to answer for all of your Learning needs. But you know, I feel like lately I've been getting a lot of Hydras, and it's always just been the kind of Drake or the Dragon Cave ending. So it's made me a lot more hesitant. I guess one way to immediately tell between the two is based on the messages that show up in the chat dialogue at the bottom of the screen. I've not been paying attention, but I don't believe I've seen any of the crashing, bashing, and slamming that usually comes along with the Ernan Hydra floor. Since I think the whole place starts rattling beyond belief the moment that buddy wakes up. But we'll see. Far be it for me to try and predict the whims of the dungeon here. Never know what you're gonna get and all that. Starting to take a little more damage than I'd like here, but fortunately, just a few Swamp Drakes and a Harpoon Worm buddy, not the end of the world. 7-headed Hydra, we'll just focus you down real quick like my friend. And that is not too shabby here, all things considered. Dexterity ring, no thank you, not even in the slightest. Oh gosh, please no. At least let this buddy come next to us. This time we don't have low magic, so we can afford to just blast them into oblivion immediately with our iron shots. So much smoother, all things considered. And there we go. We get our first rune of the run, which is fantastic. Yeah, overall not too bad. I mean, obviously there was that one terrifying close encounter with the Will-O-Wisp, but you know, besides that, not too bad. Can't complain too much. Spider, don't have great AoE. Maybe we keep taking advantage of the fact that we were offered this Fireball. Fireball and Irradiate both should actually do fairly good work here. On the flip side, if we come across Rad Roaches to any large extent, we might be kind of boned. The low HP pool of a Gargoyle does not play nicely with enemy having the ability to Irradiate. But you know, we have IMB, we have Irradiate, we have Fireball. Those are probably good enough AoE for this stage of the game. Specifically for Spider, I should say. Well, no time like the present. Get Manifold Assault. You know, we do have Dragon Form, so it's tempting to switch gears into what has very quickly become my favorite spell combo. But I think we'll instead try to go a little bit more into the classic Blaster Caster here, just to keep things interesting. And Moth of Wrath I should probably try to kill immediately. Definitely before I get enraged, but even having a few Berserk Spiders, it's pretty wild how quickly that situation goes from manageable to, oh gosh, get me out of here, coach. So, you know, with that in mind, we'll maybe play this one a little bit safer. Bit of confusion, not the end of the world, especially since I do manage to get into our lovely little hallway here. And then once we're in here, IMB does all right. The other option we have is that the majority of these Sons of Guns are poison inept, as it were, so we can probably just put down some Mephitic Clouds as a nice little bit of backup here. and then otherwise use a nice blend of melee attacks and blasting to take care of these sons of guns in hopefully relatively short order. Moth of Wrath is low-key one of the scariest monsters here, right? It's wild how quickly the turns table, as it were. How did you get poisoned, my friend? Oh, I guess confused spiders. Never mind. That one threw me for the loop, but actually makes a lot of sense in retrospect here. You know, I didn't even think about that when I was confusing the spiders. It was very much meant to be more of a defensive capability than anything else, but I will gladly take advantage of that. Just fantastic stuff. And then largely just using Sandblast here, nothing too exciting. For better or for worse, I'm just spamming the ever-living crap out of our quick quiver here, and I mean, not going horribly so far, so potentially a little bit more on the better side than the worse, but not something we want to rely too much on moving forward. On the other hand, this +5 Evening Star so far is turning out to be a lovely little bit of backup. In fact, we're at 0.9 attack now. I'm curious if we should go all the way up to min delay. Might be nice to have available once again as a kind of lovely bit of backup kit. Still have lots of spell power to go on Iron Shot, and we do want that shatter in the future, so maybe I do once again turn Earth Magic back on and train it in the background here, still focusing our melee combatant abilities here. That doesn't seem too shabby whatsoever, though. You, on the other hand, my friend, are a pain in the rear, so we'll definitely just stack up some poison, and you know what, that will actually do the trick. Can kind of just relax to our heart's content after getting that amount going. Oh, and we do not want the lightning rod. I actually want Sandblast on my quiver. There we go. And yeah, I don't have fire resistance, even though I don't actually know on hindsight. They just have energy beam, which I guess is not elementally charged, so never mind. Just feel free to ignore me, but regardless, sun moths can be a bit on the rough side here for sure. And not too bad. Spider 1 done and dusted with only a couple of near-death experiences. Here's the rad roach that I was so concerned about in recent memory here. I mean, I have a lot of magic, so I can probably just blast you. But I do want to be cognizant and cautious of those sons of guns. Many a promising character has met their fate due to those beautiful beetle boys, so definitely want to play a little bit on the cautious side, especially with a low HP species, but otherwise nothing we can't handle, or so it would seem at the moment here, so that is beautiful. Definitely need to take care of the snail as soon as possible. And demonic crawlers, surprisingly painful for this character so far. Oh gosh. Undesired rage comes over us, so let's just walk right back to our stairwell. Try not to engage in multiple encounters while working off the speed debt there. And can I maybe hide around this corner successfully? Dodge that. Get absolutely dumpstered, my friend. Beautiful. Very fortunate, all things considered there. I feel like those orb spiders could have gone a heck of a lot worse. Ooh, but a wand of digging I do want to pick up, so we'll drop the flame wand that we're not going to really be using anytime in the near future. And that is lovely. Once again, for better or for worse, I'm relying much more on our melee abilities here. Not sure how safe of a strategy that is, but just paused for a moment there because we did just get access Oh, you know, I didn't even know that Vehumet was offering us VODs. I think I'm going to have to take that. But more so what I came here for was Spellforge Servitor. I might grab you. I was originally not going to worry too much about it. I was like, yeah, we're going full Blaster Caster. We'll be using Shatter, maybe Ignition. You know, not very Servitor-esque spells. But even with just Iron Shot, it's incredible. And then beyond that, knowing that we've been offered Lahudib's Crystal Sphere on top, I think we gotta try it out. We do have Amnesia on me as well, so let's read that and get rid of something here. Man, I'm still using Sandblast to a decent extent. I mean, Stone Arrow could go, I guess. Mephitic Cloud is being used less and less as we continue forward. I guess Fireball we did largely take for that one expedition. DCSS Graveyard continues to be filled with human fire elementals corpses. As it should be, as it should be. But hopefully some are making it through as well. What are you currently focused on, Railbird? Largely still doing like full extended 15 rune runs, or have you gone back down to just shorter spans, especially with some of the new updates and maybe getting to fool around a bit more with those early fire changes? Servitor should be a monster. Yeah, I hope so. As long as I don't get myself killed by accidentally self-blasting here. I mean, little less of an option when we're not using Orb of Destruction. Lahudib Crystal Sphere very much just requires caution around specific alignments with your enemies. So hopefully nothing we can't handle. And actually, you know, we pick those up. What I should do is turn on summoning. Let's bring that up. 10 might be enough to bring Spellforged up into the forefront of honor and glory here. So we can try that out. Yeah, it's 15 rune games for you mainly still, Railbird. Nice, nice. Well, then definitely to be expected that there would be a bit of corpse littering going on. I think that is very much fair to say for most 15 rune attempts. And I mean, last week I asked you a bunch about your thoughts on blast mode. I was trying to think if there were any other changes. Oh, Plasma Beam. Are you using Plasma Beam much? That's something I haven't tried out at all so far. I feel like I watched, maybe I was watching Wizard doing some Mega Ziggurating during the tournament that definitely showed a pretty impressive side to Plasma Beam. It seemed like it was doing fairly well, even at that stage in the game where you're dealing with super strong enemies in extreme density. So it seemed like a pretty cool spell, but again, I have not gotten the opportunity to try it out yet. Probably at some point. And there we go. We get offered the level 9 spells. So where are we on Shatter? 56% failure rate on Shatter. If I swap over to my robe, 13% failure rate on Shatter. Now that is very close to being an option for us here. Fortunately, we don't need to worry about these spells. They are going to be around or on offer for, I think it's just the rest of the game for Vehumet, if I'm not completely out of my mind. So we have a bit of time to think about things and work it out. Might want a few more spell levels even before we get to that stage. I don't know, we'll burn the bridge when we get there, of course. Hey, Safid, 44% of the time it works every time. Don't you know it? Never didn't have it. But nice to see you in general, my friend. Welcome, welcome. Been a hot minute. I hope things are going well for you, of course. And not too shabby. Never underestimate low-tier spells, even late game. Your first ever clear, you only had Battle Sphere and Magic Dart for most of the run. And see, that's a good example of that for sure. Because I feel like just having multiple procs goes a long way. I mean, you might get kind of screwed over by certain enemies who have like a high threshold of minimum damage required, but otherwise super good. I mean, the example I always like to point to as to the power of low-level spells is the Genie run from our Great Player series, because yeah, we got offered no high-level attack spells. I think the only, actually, not quite true. The one that we did get was Lightning Bolt, which did pretty well for the majority of the mid-game, but by Zot was completely useless. And so we ended up killing the majority of our Zot enemies with Fulminant Prism. And Fulminant Prism stayed pretty relevant even until that stage in the game, which I found very interesting. I mean, definitely not ideal. I wouldn't necessarily force myself into that situation in the future, but it definitely worked, which was awesome and very, very interesting to see. Okie dokie, let's immediately just get some contamination going on here and blast these sons of guns into the next plane of existence. I don't know why that's my go-to saying today. I've just noticed how much I've been saying either next realm of living or plane of existence has been big on my brain, and I have no idea why. Maybe it's a multiverse thing going on. The Battlesphere is up there with Lightning Spire. They somehow sneak into early books for sure. And Thalfun for you is an Ash run, which gave you a lot of ability to not engage in fights with things that'd be hard to kill. So Ash may be the reason for your first clear, to be honest. Okay, so that's interesting. So you were able to use it when it was kind of necessary, but for the most part you were just playing smart, which is something I am completely unfamiliar with. Playing intelligently, I wouldn't know what that felt like, really. But very cool. So yeah, I like those runs a lot because they do force you to kind of reevaluate your situation and come up with interesting solutions, which I think is one of the more fun aspects of the game. Again, it's why there's always going to be a huge thumbs up for me in regards to Genie, because I think Genie kind of encapsulates that entire prospect in a species choice. But Railbird, you haven't used Plasma Beam since Iron Shot is still available in stable release. Wizard plays Trunk, in which Iron Shot was removed, so it makes sense that Plasma has been a logical replacement for the removal of Iron Shot. Iron Shot is being removed? Holy moly, that is a world-shaking revelation for me. Not my baby, my sweet, sweet Iron Shot. How could they? But fair enough, I guess. Very interesting. And you know, speaking of, our Spellforge servitor is looking pretty dang castable now, so let's bring that in. Oh gosh, I'm confused and... oh, I did not realize the combination of enemies that was awaiting us here never should have come down. I guess we're going to be forced to do a curing right away, and then I need some distance. So let's dip into our blinking scroll reserves here, head down this direction. Very silly to even require this level of fidelity, but glad to get out of there safely at the very least. And we'll just head to an unexplored stairwell next to see what happens. First they came for Magma Bolt, and I said nothing. Magma Bolt got removed because nobody used it. I guess Iron Shot is getting axed because everyone uses it. Those are generally the two big arguments for changes that come through in DCSS, especially when it comes to spells. They're either always or never used for sure. I mean, Magma Bolt was a funny one because I do remember that we were in our Great Player series when Magma Bolt was removed, and in order to give it like a final hurrah, we used it on a character right before we updated to the version that removed it. And it was actually pretty awesome. Like having a piercing damage spell that, you know, dealt fire damage, but against fire resistant enemies had some unresistible base damage as well, was pretty wild. Like it definitely worked out pretty well for us. So it's definitely funny how you don't know how good you had it until it leaves you. You never know what you got till it's gone, of course. But ironically, Jin would have been the perfect species for Magnum Bolt. For sure, yeah. Very much in the general theme of them as well. But hey, Dr. Pirate, thank you so much for the raid. Hello, raiders. Welcome, welcome. My name is Torinski. largely just play this lovely gem of a game, DCSS, once a week. We're just here on Sundays, so glad to have you dropping on by, of course. But if you haven't played before, this is a very kind of classic dungeon crawl roguelike, very much in the veins of your rogues, your ADOMs, your Caves of Khud. I don't know what the most relevant comparison is, especially since I feel like all these games fall into a similar vein of like, if you're into this very niche style of game, then you probably already know about it. But definitely, exactly, your rogues and your likes, my two favorite things. But you understand the Jin can go Ash now, though fun, might, or that might drag you back for a bit again. Nice, nice. But yes, welcome all, welcome all. Glad to have you around. The transporting bundle and humble has some games that might keep you busy for a bit. Oh nice, I'll have to check that out. It's been a long time since I checked out Humble. In fact, I'm curious, do I still have a subscription to them? I don't know if I ever canceled that. I mean, I love them as a group and you get lots of amazing deals out of it. But nice, I'll have to check that out for sure. It's like Monopoly, but with Cooking Mama vibes. Just like that. Exactly. Perfectly put. Did I have a stint on Khud, Torinski? I don't think I played too much. I tried it out at one point. I feel like most other classic roguelikes haven't grasped me in quite the same way that DCSS has. A lot of them are incredible. You know, I've dabbled a little bit in all of your Tales of Maj'Eyal. I'm trying to remember, Cataclysm is one that I need to go back to at some point because it's a very different kind of thematic approach to the genre and has some really fun interactions and cool little mechanics for sure. But no, I don't know, did you play much Khud Soundlust? Would you recommend it to others? Because I feel like it's an example I jump to because for whatever reason, even though I haven't really played it, it's one of the few roguelike names that always comes to the forefront of my brain and don't have to struggle too much to come up with. Hello, friend. Ouch. You know, I didn't think you'd hit me twice in a row with the goods there. Well, your willpower's a little bit higher than I would like, so fear has at least a chance of failure, which I don't love. Which means I am gonna just back the heck off, and let's bring out Spellforge Servitor, who actually I should be dealing with this whole time now. Let's say if you played the original Rogue as a kid, and then your college game was Zangband. Nice. Yeah, I've played a little bit of Rogue, but never really got into Zangband, even though it sounds familiar. But Thalfon, it has Celeste, Boyfriend Dungeon, Super Lesbian Animal RPG, a few others supporting the Trevor Project. That's awesome. Boyfriend Dungeon is so fun. Oh my gosh. My partner played that, and I just love to sit around in the background and enjoy the ride. That's such a cute game. And Celeste I've heard really good things about, but I've never tried. Never heard of Super Lesbian Animal RPG, but sounds amazing. It sounds like you enjoyed Khud quite a bit. It's probably the second most time after Crawl, but you enjoy Crawl most because it forces to play slightly different each time, whereas Khud can run it down the middle every time, sorta. Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, it is something I really like about DCSS, is the very kind of adaptive nature of it. No runs are really the same whatsoever, and I do kind of jump all over the place. Super Lesbian Animal RPG was on the recent GDQ. It's very Earthbound-esque in style. Oh, that's cool. I'll probably have to check that out. I do really enjoy watching all the GDQ runs. It's definitely been a pretty solid way of getting into many games in the past, so that's pretty sweet. Oh, and our first Ghost Moth. Hello, my friend.